Hello and welcome to my channel. Thank you for stopping by. Hope your day is going great. So in today's discussion video, I'm going to talk about the Isle's roadmap. The next one, not the current one that we have at the moment. So I'm going to first discuss what I think will come, what's more likely to come based on everything we've seen in the last year in 2024, what the devs have discussed, what's been mentioned, what skins we've seen, to give us a good idea of what might be coming, what they may actually be working on, as we know they work on quite a few projects at the same time. And then at the end I'll also talk about what I think would be best to come in, and I'll give my reasons as to why. So without further ado, let's get started. First, let's predict what will come next. These predictions are based on what we have been seeing in the past few dev blogs. This could be skins and any signs of playables being worked on. So to start off, Oviraptor, as it was meant to be part of the current roadmap, the one that we have right now, but it got replaced with Baryonyx, which in my opinion is a better decision. I know there's people out there that love Oviraptor. I'm not trying to say anything bad about Ovi, but I do think Barry is more needed than Oviraptor, so I think that was a good decision to swap it out. But of course that does mean they have done some work on it, which would only make sense that that will be one of the playables in the next roadmap. I'll be very surprised if it wasn't. Then we got Camarasaurus, Alberto, and Quetz. This one simply because we did see some skins of these. Just some concepts of the skins and their patterns. Not too much about it, to be honest with you, especially Alberto. I haven't really seen much about apart from this, so this is a bit of a long shot here, but I thought I'd include it. Quetz, same as Alberto, I would say. Camo, we did get a little bit more. Gen 1 humans would be another one. This will probably come as a bit of a surprise unless you've been seeing my devblog videos or other YouTubers' devblog videos. A few devblogs ago, I think it was devblog 51, I might be wrong, it did get mentioned. So it was about 5 months ago that they are being worked on. Like even here you'll see from the devs what they did say. So there's a strong possibility that they will be also on the roadmap. I mean, we know they are being worked on. How far into it we don't know. Of course, we've already got humans like the mercenaries, very unfinished, but I do believe that apparently they will be actually being worked on this year as well. So if they've got that, they're probably going to start doing the Gen 1 humans too. Well, as they said themselves, the more horror side of the Isle, which I'm all for. I know humans is a touchy subject, but I think you can at least say these are quite different. Obviously some people prefer more realistic stuff. Gen 1 humans are not realistic because, well, they're all completely made up, of course, but I think it adds a nice twist to the Isle. And you know, the Isle after all is not meant to be just a dinosaur game. There is some lore behind it where it's like experiments, creepy stuff, mutations, as there were even hypos before, which we might end up seeing one day in 20 years or something. But yeah, I'm all for Gen 1 humans. I think it'll be quite a fun thing to play that hasn't got guns. You know, you're kind of just a mutated human that's a bit taller, faster, stronger than your average human. They can kind of probably fend yourself against some small tiers, but generally speaking, you're going to be probably really creepy to look at and to see. But you're probably not going to be able to do that much against, obviously, mid tiers and up. Para and Spino seem to be a possibility as well, again due to them having some skins worked on, and we have obviously seen this famous image of the Spino whispering in the dino's ear, so surely that means they are in the works, even if just a little bit. So something as big as Para to hunt would be welcomed. Not to say that Para is going to be useless, you know, it's a big hadrosaur and it's not going to be easy to take down, but when you have stuff like Rex out and Aloe, it only makes sense that you need a bigger food supply, right? As for Spino, well, we will have Baryonyx and Dino already out by then, so another contender for Barry while Spino grows, and for adult dinos when Spino is adult, would only make it more interesting for players to encounter such a beast, making the semi-aquatic ecosystem more entertaining, which I think we really need. And I finally would like to add that we may get Avaceratops. This one I haven't seen much progress on, it's just wild guess here, simply because they are wanting to add more AI, both dinosaur ones and non-dinosaurs. So what would be better than Ava? It would be welcomed by most that enjoyed Legacy for nostalgia reasons, as AI, as well as just general Legacy nostalgia. This would also add another small tier that can punch above its weight, whilst being a succulent prehistoric burger. So just a quick recap here, I'm predicting Quetz, Alberto, Kama, Oviraptor, Spino, Para, Ava, Gen 1 humans. No particular order, these are just my educated guesses, let's say. Seems a bit heavy on the carnival side, but these are just my ideas from what we have seen in 2024. With skins, animations and mentions. So of course it could be very different, but I'll be surprised if not at least 4 of these playables I've mentioned won't be in the next roadmap. But now let's get to the second part of the video. Now I'm going to pick 10 playables that I think would work best, and I'll give some reasons as to why. With this roadmap in mind, let's imagine we already have Trikerex, Ostro, Aloe and Kentro out. So this roadmap we're in right now is finished. We're now waiting on the next playables, as it will make sense with, well, at least I hope it would make sense with what I'm going to say. So let's start off with, and again, these are in no particular order of when I think they should come out. It's just more of these are the ones I feel like should be out. But when they come out would really heavily depend on what's happening in the aisle at that time. I'll start off with Enquiries. Some of these will be biased because obviously I just really like these dinos. Enquiries I love. I've never been able to play one because, well, it's never been in the aisle and it just looks amazing. Its claws, it's like a Spino but a herbivore version. I don't know if it'll be omnivore, I think it'll be just herbivore. I'm not sure, I don't remember there, but it'll be a beast in the water. And finally, the water will actually get something that's not just a predator, that will also be aquatic, right? It'll be a contender for Spino, for Dino, and of course, whilst it's growing, for Barry and any other semi-aquatic. And again, semi-aquatics do need more. I think the water's a bit of a barren wasteland. Dino's not played as much as it was back in Spiral for many reasons. Main one probably being just the map layout and all the water sources. You very rarely will encounter one, so most people don't even care. They just drink water without a care in the world. There are a few hotspots, of course, like south near the waterfalls and highlands here and there, but even then, even those being the hotspots for Dino, I wouldn't even quite call them a hotspot because Dino's just not that played anymore. At least in the servers I've played in, they're not really out there. So Enquiries, again, I think we need more semi-aquatics, so I think it'll be great. Next one would be Anki, a cool little fellow that's not too small but not too big, but packs quite a punch. We're going to have Bone Break, of course. And I think a nice tanky herbivore would be great. It's going to be slow, and I mean, it can even become a submarine whilst it goes across water, as you see in this concept art here, which is quite funny. I mean, just imagine going under, you just see some dinos looking at you. I don't think you'll be probably safe from dinos. I think they'll be able to probably grab you, unless because of your weight, I don't know. But I think in the water, it would make sense for a dino to be able to grab you. But then that'll be the risk that you take as an Anki. And on land, you'll be not unstoppable, but near enough, you know, unless you got obviously like in this concept art where you see Spino just rolling it over and having its way with it. But I still feel like Anki is going to be quite a fun one where you kind of are going to be on edge, but at the same time you know you can stand your ground against most things. And it's always nice to see an Anki at least in a herd just to help protect a little bit, right? Next one would be Fairy. Oh, by the way, I'm going to be doing all the Herbies first and then I'll do the carnivores. Fairy, another one, an iconic playable. I mean, a massive murder turkey with huge claws, a little bit like Enquiries, but this one's purely for land. And I think just from Legacy, we've seen how devastating this guy can be. He'll be able to fend off Rexes, but will also be a bit of a glass cannon, just like in Legacy, I'm sure. So it will have to be careful. And with the mechanics in Evrima, it will make it a lot more interesting. You can't just tail ride anyone because of auto attacks. So I think it'll make a great dynamic in fights. You won't really want to fight it unless you really need food. And Fairy probably won't really want to fight an Apex unless it's just one of those aggro players, of course, or just for defensive purposes. But when it comes to mid tiers, I think it's going to be a perfect battle there. It's kind of one of those that's kind of in between Apex and mid tiers. I wouldn't quite call it Apex because of how weak it is, but obviously its attack is so strong that it kind of puts it in Apex, but at the same time it drags it down a little bit with its health down to mid tier. So it's a really good stepping stone playable that you'll be able to punch above your weight if needed, but you still have to be careful on both sides. And who doesn't like Fairy? Come on, let's be honest here. Kamara will be another one I'd like to see. Some of these, of course, will be the same as what I think will be coming, but either way, there's no need to make it different. I think Kamara will be a great one. It's a sauropod, it's big. Yes, it'll be the biggest one they will have for now. Obviously, there will be other ones like Brachiosaurus that will come along, which might just be AI, might be playable, but either way, Kamara is like a decent sized where, of course, once it gets to full grown, not much will be able to fight it. But again, remember, this game is not meant to be just PvP. It is survival too. So if someone likes to just stroll around being almost indestructible, let them have their fun. And if you really want a good challenge as a predator, as a Rex, let's say, or even a pack of Aloes, and you're good enough, then if you win against one, that's going to be a great reward for you. And personally, I don't think it's a dinosaur game until you see sauropods. I think sauropods are an integral part of any dinosaur game and ecosystem. Even if they're just AI or both as playable, seeing them walk around as beasts that they are, I think is amazing. So I would like to see one sooner than later. Styraco, another ceratopsin, I think would be great to add into the game. Make it a bit different when you see Diablos and Styracos hanging out. This one is not too much about, I just like Styraco, I think it looks really cool. And I like ceratopsins as well, so I thought why not? And why I think it would work, again, against stuff like Aloe, against stuff like Rex. Be a really good defensive dino. As long as they don't make it too quick, then I don't think it'll be too much of a problem either. Now let's get onto the carnivores. Start off with Quets. Quets would be great in the game. Obviously we only got the one other flyer, so I think we're well overdue one. You have to then worry about stuff from the skies. Would be nice. It would give the fear from the waters if you have more semi-aquatics, the trees because you got Herrera, and then of course you have the king of the skies, Quets. I don't really think there's much I have to say, apart from I think it would definitely make sense to have in the game once the first roster is already out, because there's going to be plenty of stuff that can defend against it, stuff that would have to just survive, and it will give you that terror, making the game a bit more on the scary side. When you're going to hear that roar or squeak, squeal, whatever you want to call it, in the skies, you know, okay, let's get into some dense jungles, which would then finally make jungles make sense as well, because people will use them more. Next one will be Megalania. I honestly am surprised this one hasn't already come out or wasn't even on the current roadmap. It's quite a popular playable. A lot of people do want it in. It's semi-aquatic as well, so again it adds to the semi-aquatic roster. It can climb when it's smaller, when it's bigger it can't, but again it gives it another dynamic, so it really gives you two ways to play it whilst you're growing, or should I say one way to play it whilst you're growing and then a different way to play it when you're big. And again, it's another one that punches way above its weight with its poison, venom, whatever it is that it has, I don't remember, but it's something that you look at as probably a big aloe and you're going to be like, look at this little fella, what's it gonna do? And then he bites you and then you're gonna have to be very careful. Megalania is just cool, come on, who wouldn't want it? Which brings me to Suko. I think that should be another one that should come to boost the semi-aquatic. You can see a pattern here. Obviously I'm trying to build the semi-aquatic roster a bit more. I'm not even that much into the semi-aquatic roster. Like, Spino is my favorite dino, and I like a lot of the semi-aquatics, Barry being one of them too that I absolutely love. And Dino, I did love to play in Spyro, not so much in Gateway, but it's still something that I enjoy whenever I do get to play. But I wouldn't say it's like my favorite roster, but I just feel like we need more there, especially that we know they're coming. Let's just give the semi-aquatic lovers some more things to do, to hunt, to give it a bit more life. It's time for the waters to have a hotspot themselves, right? And that's what I think Suko would do. It'll be a big contender that will be able to help stop even Crocs from growing. Obviously, probably won't be able to fight a fully grown Dino, but Sabado with Suko fully grown maybe would be a good battle. But either way, you get me. It's going to be a great one to kind of fight off other smaller ones growing and be a contender against Baryonyx as well. You know, Barrys would have to kind of worry a little bit about adult Sukos, but at the same time, they could even share the water a little bit, depending on how much food there is. I think it'll be really beautiful to see when you're swimming in the water in like the big deep lakes and you just see a few different species actually just swimming slowly around. You know, they'll have that kind of civil friendship that it's not quite safe, but it's not just out to get each other. Which brings me on to Spino, my favorite playable. Of course, this is biased as hell, but I just want to see it. And I think since we'll have an actual apex like Rex and then Dino in the water, it would only make sense to bring something that's in between, which would be a semi-aquatic like Spino. Something that can really traverse land without it being so contained in water like Dino. But I also have to be careful with Rex. You know, I think they'll be able to fight each other well, but I think Rex will always have the upper hand because of its bite force, let's say. Same with Dino in the water, but Spino you can kind of play both. So if you're in trouble, unless you get stuck in between, oh, there's a Dino in water and then you get a Rex on land, you're kind of fucked. So you have to choose one of the fights unless there's a way to get out of it. But then at the same time, Spino will be able to hold its own against Dino and hold its own against Rex. I just think bite force wise, obviously they will both be able to get Spino, but Spino will probably be a little bit more of an agile version, still tanky, and it will have its grapple as well with its claws, so it makes it different. And just seeing that spine coming through the water as it comes up would be beautiful to finally see. Last one but not least would be Acrocanthosaurus. Acro, again, one of my favorites. I just love the look of it, love the design of it. Even in the isle, I do wish its spine was a little bit more prominent, but I'm not too fussed about it. I think it still looks great. It's chunky, it looks aggressive, and it's one of those that people call a pseudo apex, some call it an actual apex. It's kind of not as big as obviously some of the apexes that we have in terms of strength as well. It's also nowhere near mid tier. It is definitely in the middle spot. Even I would call it an apex, just maybe not as strong as one of the apexes. I have mentioned this a while ago. I don't believe in small tier, mid tier, apex. I do believe that each of those tiers can be split into 3 different tiers too, especially the mid tier being quite more complex because you've got small mid tiers, large mid tiers. Even with apexes you've got the same, and even with small tiers, to be honest. I mean, you can't put Hipsy as small tier and then say Omni. I mean, they're completely different. You know, I would definitely say Hipsy is more of a small tier, and you know, your Omni is your larger mid tier, let's say. But yeah, Acro will be great. It's got an iconic sound from Legacy. Hopefully they keep that, or at least least rework it a little bit, but it just sounded amazing. It really did send shivers down my spine, especially when the first few times I played Legacy and I just had no idea what that was that I was hearing. I was like, what is that? An alien? That's mad. The arc was really cool, and I think it'll be very welcome. But that's it. That's my ideas. What would you guys think? If you have an idea of what would be a better roadmap, let me know. Or if you have even ideas of what you think will definitely be coming based on what devs have said and shown. And if you have also a list of what you would prefer to come in, let me know down below. But apart from that, this has been my discussion video on the next Isle roadmap. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you disagreed with something, just don't be a penis about it, of course. Just let me know down below if there's something to correct me about. But yeah, apart from that, have a great day and peace.